Going to the next excavations, archaeologists are surprised to ask the question, how is this possible? Why did people create these objects in ancient times? What mysterious rites did our ancestors perform in the cave? And why did they marinate the mummy? About these finds and more, see in this video. Hi friend, you're on the KirTop channel. Pickled Mommy. Researchers have found that the mummy, dubbed the Mysterious Lady, retained a small fetus for more than 2,000 years. Their discovery is based on CT scan data and was published in the journal Archaeological Science. The Mysterious Lady is not just a mummy, she was pregnant at the time of her death and was part of the Thebes community. Her age at death is estimated to be between 20 and 30 years old, and the fetus was between 26 and 30 weeks old. And this is the only known case of a pregnant mummy that has undergone the process of embalming. Surprisingly, until last summer, no one knew about the fetus in her womb. Previous X-ray studies did not detect it because its bones mineralized. Turns out that the Mysterious Lady didn't die in childbirth. Her body was treated with natron, a type of salt that dries out the body and acts as a disinfectant. And the fetus remained untouched by those who mummified the body, which allowed the womb to remain in perfect condition. Because of this, the researchers found that the blood in the fetus became more acidic as the levels of ammonia and formic acid increased, leading to bone mineralization. And since the womb remained hermetically sealed, the fetus kind of marinated, remaining there for more than 2,000 years. However, the question remains, why did the embalmers leave the fetus in the body when all other organs had been removed? Singing dance floor. In Peru, archaeologists have made an incredible discovery, a singing dance floor designed in such a way that when the pressure is applied to it, it makes a sound reminiscent of playing a drum. Kevin Lane, an archaeologist at the University of Buenos Aires, is certain that this unique dance floor was used for rituals in ancient times. Dancing, in his opinion, was a key part of the Andean rituals, and this platform served as a special amplifier station for the sounds of the dance. By the way, as part of this scene, there was also an honorary platform, or ushnu, a pyramidal structure that the Incas used for important ceremonies. When people stepped on this dance floor, it made thunderous sounds, as if inviting the god of thunder and lightning to join the celebration. To create this musical miracle, the architects conducted a series of experiments with different materials. In the end, they opted for clay and camel dung. Who would have thought that such an unusual material would be perfect for creating an amazing percussive sound? The platform could accommodate up to 26 dancers at the same time, and at this time the dance floor sounded throughout the district. This incredible outdoor dance floor was located 200 kilometers southeast of Peru's capital, Lima. Researchers suggest that it was created between 1000 and 1400 AD and was used until 1532. Ritual Cave of Ancient Necromancers. Researchers found ancient oil lamps, axes, and even human skulls 30 kilometers from Jerusalem in the Termic cave in the Judean mountains. But the real magic and mysticism is yet to come. This cave was discovered back in 1873. Inside it, hide underground quarters, a source of water which is credited with special healing properties, and many artifacts. Researchers suggest that this cave was a secret hideout for necromancers. Necromancers are people who try to contact the souls of the dead using death magic. In the Roman Empire, their activities were banned, but they still continued their rites, hiding in such secluded places as the Termic cave. The found objects were often used in magical rituals, where people tried to contact the spirits of their ancestors through fire and metal. Lamps and other items were hidden in narrow cracks in the cave walls, suggesting that they were placed there on purpose. According to scientists, mystical rites, predictions of the future, and possibly even sacrifices were held in the cave. The cave was a kind of portal to the world of spirits. Oldest Termic stone. Ready for a shocking new discovery? This time, we traveled back 150 million years to study the oldest Termic stone ever found. This stone fist, about the size of your own fist, was found off the coast of Great Britain and dates back to the Jurassic period, 59 million years older than any previously known Termic stone. Now, as to who might have been the owner of this stone, it's quite difficult to determine without the surrounding skeletal structures. But Nigel Larkin, a paleontologist at the University of Reading, suggests that the stone could have been part of the digestive system of some large marine reptile, such as an ichthyosaur or a plesiosaur. It is worth noting that dinosaurs which lived more on land could hardly have been the owners of this stone, but despite this find is amazing and extremely rare. Stomach stones are nothing but natural mineral formations that can develop inside various organisms from human to ichthyosaurs. Such stones were even found in the stomachs of Egyptian mummies, but a much smaller size. This ancient stomach stone confirms that such formations existed not only among terrestrial, but also marine inhabitants of antiquity. A work of art at a flea market. It so happened in England that a young couple saw a small vase with the design of roosters and hens on a black ground of which birds soared. But it wasn't just a vase, there were engravings on its bottom which alerted buyers. After the purchase, they decided to investigate the issue further and to the auction house Canterbury Auction Galleries. Specialists took the vase for inspection, and you won't believe it. It turned out to be created at the end of the 19th century by the famous master of the golden age of Japanese animal, Namikawa Yasuyuki. The master worked in the complex cloisonne technique, which requires some special skill. The vase is now heading for auction, where the starting price will be £10,000. The couple planned to spend some of the proceeds on a vacation and give some of the money back to the thrift store in the form of a donation. After all, it was there that they found this treasure. And just like that, just by going to a thrift store, the couple found not just a vase, but also a real masterpiece of art, which brought them not only aesthetic pleasure, but also an impressive amount of money. Ancient psychological weapons of war. And now let's dive into the world of the ancient Celts and learn about an incredible mystical musical instrument that was used as a psychological weapon. Here it is, the conix, a wind instrument that hit the nerves of enemies, lifting the spirits of the fighters during the battles between 300 BC and 280. This instrument was so impressive that it is even mentioned in ancient chronicles and was even depicted on a Buddhist sculpture in distant India. The conix was a long, curved bronze pipe, and at one end it had an ominous bull muzzle. The fighters blew this tune, the pipe of which ended with the bull's head with a moving tongue, creating an unimaginable noise, instilling fear in the enemies. Such a weapon could not go unnoticed, even Greek historians wrote about it. By the way, the very word Celtic is quite complicated. After all, the Celts were not a single nation but a number of different cultures united by common features of art and technology. In 2004, archaeologists discovered a treasure trove of weapons that contained as many as 7 conixes, and this is in France. The best preserved one was found in Scotland, but it only has a bell on a boar's head left. One of the 7 conixes found at Tintagnac could be assembled almost entirely from 40 pieces. When they restored this puzzle, it turned out that the length of the tool is about 1.5 meters. Spicy artifact. In the Khangai Mountains in northern Mongolia, archaeologists have discovered a real sensation, a stone decoration in the form of a human phallus. Yes, you heard it right. The small curved piece of graphite, 4.2 centimeters long, is the oldest known representation of a person taking into account gender characteristics. Believe it or not, its age is estimated to be between 42,400 and 41,900 years old, so it falls on the Upper Paleolithic. Such phallic pendants are something new in Paleolithic history. They say that early hunter-gatherers already used sexual characteristics as symbols. On the pendant, you can see the recesses, which according to scientists resemble the male genital organ. The most interesting thing is that the back of the pendant is smooth, while the front is not. It looks like the pendant was worn around the neck. The surface of the pendant is slightly worn, suggesting that it has been passed down from generation to generation. Proof of cannibalism. The next story will be somewhat creepy but quite real. Let's dive into ancient history 1.45 million years ago and get ready to learn an amazing story about cannibalism among ancient people. Scientists have found traces on the ancient bone that look like someone has eaten a hominin's foot, and most surprisingly, the culprit apparently was not a wild animal, but a brother in mind. This is the oldest evidence of cannibalism. The bone was found in Kenya. It belonged to an unknown relative of a man who lived here in ancient times. Scientists from the Smithsonian Institution conducted a thorough analysis of this ancient crime using 3D technology. Although our ancestors were high on the food chain, they were sometimes preyed upon by other animals, but unfortunately, cases of cannibalism among them were not so rare. The researchers initially expected to find marks from the teeth of wild animals, but instead found clearly artificial cuts. Often such traces testified to ritual burials or the manufacture of jewelry from bones, but in this case, everything points to the fact that the bone was processed for food. It's still hard to say for sure. After all, the bones of ancient people could be processed for different purposes, and we may be mistaken in their interpretation. This find suggests that hominins could well have been cannibals as early as 1.45 million years ago. A little scary, right? But such is our history. Fragment of the most ancient book. Teresa Zamet Lupi, a restorer at the University of Graz, examined a papyrus dated to the 3rd century BC and found traces of binding on it. Just think, she was holding in her hands a page of a book that is over 2,000 years old. This unique fragment was discovered in 1902 next to the mummy, and this discovery could rewrite the entire history of books because it is 400 years older than the oldest books known to us. To date, the oldest books are believed to have been produced between 150 and 250 AD, and some can be seen in the British Library in London and the Chester Beatty Library in Dublin. Scientists are sure that similar relics may be hidden in other museums, but no one has yet discovered them. After all, papyrus was a fairly accessible material for writing, and it was used very actively. This stunning fragment, measuring about 15 by 25 centimeters, was found in the Egyptian necropolis of Hebe. It is part of a collection of 52 papyri, and now we have a unique opportunity to learn the story behind every symbol on these ancient pages. Mysterious Stone Age holes. In England, archaeologists have discovered up to 25 mysterious pits, the purpose of which is still a mystery. Imagine this: the English countryside of Bedfordshire, north of London, dotted with huge holes. Carbon dating of materials from this prehistoric site has shown that these round Osterwald pits were created around 7,700–8,500 years ago, during the Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age. This find, which is called Lindmere Pits, includes up to 25 pits, the diameter of which reaches 5 meters and a depth of 1.9 meters. They are arranged in straight lines up to 500 meters long. The most surprising thing is that such monumental structures are rare for Britain at that time. Basically, we know about the Mesolithic only from flint tools and rare remains of dead animals. Archaeologist Josh Pollard from the University of Southampton stressed that the Lindmere pits are surprising in their number and the large area they cover. These pits are a place where once there were streams of water. Scholars speculate that they may have had spiritual significance or even be used to mark important celestial events such as the solstice. Some of the pits contained animal remains, including the bones of an extinct species of oryx, an extinct species of bulls, and may have served as food storage. Similar pits were found near Stonehenge last year, but the question remains open: why were these pits created? Viking grave in the courtyard of the house. So, Oddbjorn Highland just wanted to expand his garden, but instead, he came across a real archaeological treasure. When he realized that he had found something unusual, he stopped all work and turned to professionals for help. The archaeologists who arrived at the site confirmed his assumptions. He found a sword made between the 800s and 900s. Interestingly, such weapons were only available to high-ranking Vikings. Ordinary Vikings made do with axes and spears, that is, farm weapons. Vikings used to bury their ancestors next to farms to show their claim to the land, so the place for burial apparently was not chosen by chance. Jewelry was also found in the grave, a brooch for a cloak, gilded glass beads, and a belt buckle. But who exactly was buried in this place, a man or a woman? Archaeologists have still to find out. The work of archaeologists continues and they hope to find more answers. An interesting fact, the house where the discovery was made was built in 1740. In the 1970s, earthworks were already carried out there, but no ancient artifacts were found then. And how long has it been since you've been digging in your yard? What if ancient artifacts and jewels are hidden right under your feet and you don't even know about it? Write in the comments what is the most valuable thing you have found in your entire life. It will be interesting for me to read. Subscribe to our channel and hit the thumbs up. Thanks for your views. Bye everyone!